Hi everyone, and welcome back to my 35th episode of my making podcast. I'm very excited to be back. I've just spent the last few weeks on holiday in the south of Europe, in Slovenia, Croatia, and Italy with my partner. And yeah, today is the last day before I'm going back to my local yarn shop for work. I have been working at home today, doing some admin, stuff like that. But yeah, I wanted to talk to y'all about how I got into kind of a knitting rut about, I would say a few weeks ago, after finishing my latest big whip, my Esther jackets. And I felt like I wanted to cast on everything. I didn't have any major whip on the needle, at least not one that I was working on. I do have a UFO that I won't be talking about or touching right now because I don't know what my feelings are towards it. But yeah, I didn't have a t-shirt or a sweater, whereas even if I have socks and shawls and everything going on and accessories possibly, I love to have at least one bigger project on the go to wear, like a garment. And yeah, I felt like I wanted to knit everything, but I couldn't decide on what it was going to be. So I also didn't feel like I had the bandwidth at that point in time to make a difficult decision. I was being quite hard on myself, quite frankly. And then being a multi-craftual maker, I also felt like I had so many options, and that also kind of stressed me out a bit, which all in all doesn't sound very good, does it? But yeah, I feel like we all sometimes have to go through these motions, and with me, like I said, not having the bandwidth for some of these decision making, I made the silliest little mistakes all of the time. And like I said, I was being hard on myself. But then I think throughout the whole process of going through these mistakes, talking to friends about them, talking to a designer friend of mine about them who I was testing for, and then realizing that, wait, they're not that silly mistakes because you're doing something you've never done before. So why are you expecting such high things of yourself all of the time? So the whole last, I would say, month was a huge learning curve for me. And it was after I was a bit, I don't know, mad at myself, or obviously I don't love ripping back, but I did it. And I think I came out happier and stronger in the end. So yeah, that's all to say that I've got quite a few projects finished or works in progress to talk to you all about today. And yeah, I did learn a lot through some silly mistakes. And I do also want to share about that with you because I feel like that is what we're here for, right? We're all still learning. So most of my projects are knitting, as always. I have one finished sewing object too. And then I want to talk a bit more about spinning, since today's the third day of the Tour de France and the Tour de Fleece. Actually, I've got the third stage on in the background. It all went a bit later with filming that I really hoped for, but like I said, I was working before. And so yeah, I just like to have it on in the background, even if I'm not looking at the screen, and I might catch a glimpse if Pogacar is already attacking again. But yeah, I'm a bit of a noob, and I love the Tour de France as well as spinning in and of itself. So more on that later. Let's start actually with what I'm wearing. I am wearing my Feels Right tee by Lily Kate Makes. This is a kind of baby, would you say baby tee? It has these like cap sleeve that are relatively short, and I'm going to try and put in some footage so you can see the whole thing styled with some pants, obviously because you can't see my pants now, but I'm wearing them. And yeah, this is made in a yarn by Pasquale. This is Saphira. This is what I've actually got left. There's quite a bit left here. I bought this at my ivory room in London when I last went to Valentina's shop. It feels really luxurious. I'm not sure if I want to or if I would go with this color again. It is relatively cold, I would say. I think it's still a great neutral, but wearing it with some very warm colored pants right now, and even throughout knitting it, I was like, is this, like, would I choose that again? Possibly not, but I also don't not like it. You know what I'm trying to get at. The yarn is very nicely and soft, though I felt like it has already pilled a bit, and this is only the third time that I'm wearing it. I don't know if you can see, but if not, I will put in a picture. The possibility of hair being everywhere is quite big, because I've just washed them and they take almost a whole day to dry naturally, and yeah, they get everywhere. So much about the yarn. It's very soft. It's a merino silk blend. It's a 75 merino and 25 silk yarn. Fingering weight, I knitted this with a recommended needle of 3.25. I'll have to double check again. I also haven't yet measured it. I don't usually do that if I like the fit of it, even though it would be helpful for the podcast. I recognize that. If I'm on gauge, which I was with this pattern, and I have a size picked out, I expect the measurements to be correct in the end, most likely. So I don't always measure it all over if it's not a test knit, because I don't enjoy measuring as much as I enjoy the knitting. I think most people would understand that. But yeah, it fits really nicely. This is a size 3 body with size 4 sleeves. We have been talking about this quite a bit. As you might have seen with my latest video upload, I went on a little knitting trip with Lily and some other knitting friends. And so I was able to talk to the designer firsthand. I brought this on the trip, so I was able to knit on it while we were actually talking. And so I had decided to go with size 3, which I was very much like bang on in between size 3 and 4, which tends to happen for me with different designers as well. I have a 99 centimeter bust circumference. I hope this helps figuring out like sizing a bit better for this pattern, since I do have a bit bigger upper arms. It is a part of my body that isn't super thin, and that really helped me. Like, okay, trying to start that sentence again. She had a little drawing. I'm not sure how do you call that? People always talk about those things in their podcasts, and I can't think of the name. It is so she does have kind of a chart with all the measurements, and then there's a little drawing. And I'll kick myself, editing me will kick myself for not coming up with a term, but apparently it just slipped my mind right now. But I think you know what I'm trying to get at, is that you can see kind of in the chart area where you would fall. And I was, like I said, falling right between the two sizes. And so I decided I wanted a snug fit on the body, possibly a bit of negative ease even, but I didn't want that on the arms. And I was actually even able to try on a Feels Right tee in size 2 of one of my friends on that trip. So that was really helpful and made me decide on these sizes. The pattern was really nicely and like clearly written out. I like that it has some waist or like body shaping. It's the first time I've actually done that, I think, because I don't tend to go for a lot of very fitted things, but I do actually think that this suits me really nicely, and it's a good staple, especially also to layer. I don't think I'm going to be wearing this like on the hottest day of the summer, since it's still mostly a merino t-shirt, but I had the yarn in my stash, and I think this is one of the nicest things I could have actually come up and made with it. So I'm very happy with it. I could see myself making this exact pattern again, and I'm also planning on making another Lily Kate Makes pattern within our, I mean, it's not our cow, but we talked about it, and now Lily has posted about it and created a Slack discussion like channel. So if you want to be part of the Lily Kate Makes cow this summer, you can text her, and Lily will add you to the Slack channel. So yeah, I'll be making the Take Turns tank. Haven't bought the pattern yet, but it's on my wish list, and I think I'm just gonna also go with stash yarn. It's not ideal since it's black, and I'm trying to, or like I'm not feeling like wearing black a lot, but I feel like it's going to be 100% cotton t-shirt like tank. It'll be very practical, and it's yarn from Copenhagen that I would like to get out of stash without just kind of giving it away. And I think the yardage is like spot on. So what I have and what I would need. So yeah. All in all, I'm very happy to have tried one of Lily's patterns now, finally. I feel like I'm really late to the game, but I just think she makes really good patterns, well-fitted patterns, and I think that's great. The next finished object is another summer knit, and something I also worked on and actually finished on our Belgium trip. And it's the camisole number 7 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I hope you can see the camisole in all its glory. This is made with Folklana Merci. It's a 50-50 cotton merino blend. And I've again made size, or not again, but I've made size 4 for this, which I think should be a large. It does also have lots of my hair stuck in it, which always happens apparently. I did make some notes on this one too. Let me just pull them up because I felt like this was really mentioned quite often on Ravelry, that the straps tended to grow quite a bit through stretching and washing and all of it. So I took out a few of the repeats. You started the tank top by starting one of the straps and knitting down, and then you knitted down the other one and then joined them in the front before joining it in the round after knitting the back straps, if that kind of makes sense. And then I did take out 4 repeats here while I did a provisional cast on, and I did 4 fewer rows than was asked for my size. So that was even less than was called for the smallest size. So be cautious of that. It still has quite a deep V, which I don't mind, like showing my décolletage. That's a weird word, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's like I don't mind in the summer when it's like super hot. I actually wore this with a bikini on the weekend, going to my family's house for like pool time and barbecue. I didn't mind, like, I don't know. It's my body, like, it's nothing evil about that. And I don't mind, like, if anyone else doesn't want to show something as revealing, I get that. But then this project, I wouldn't say is suitable for that really, because I think you would have to shorten them quite significantly for it to be like very covering, and I'm not sure if it then would work out with the shaping, kind of the bust darts-esque looking shaping, which is not really shaping, because every time you're decreasing, you're also increasing on the other side again. So the stitch count doesn't actually change all that much in the pattern, but I really like that detail of it kind of hugging the breast area on the underneath, really. So yeah, I did crop it quite a bit because it was already long enough. I tried it on multiple times. I asked multiple people about if they thought it was long enough, and it is. I still have to tuck it in even. I also steam blocked it before I decided to to cast off, which I actually did purling every stitch and then slipping it over the other. I usually, most of the time, like 95% of the time, I do a sewn bind off, an Italian bind off, or even sometimes a tubular bind off with the like preparation rows. I quite like that as well if I want it to have a lot of kind of integrity, structural integrity. Structural integrity is a really difficult word to say, isn't it? But yeah, if I want it to be yeah, a bit more, I don't even know the word, but yeah, I usually do a sewn bind off. I don't tend to do kind of regular bind offs a lot, but Lily actually recommended this to me to try a purling off bind off, and I think it actually worked out quite well and it looks really nice. Seeing as I had planned to tuck it into my pants a lot of the times anyways, I didn't think it would be worth doing a anything else that was too much faff for me at that point in time. Though I did also try it on this one and I didn't like the look of it at all, so I did Italian bind offs all the way around this one. Actually, they turned out too tight, and so I had to redo them once, which was one of those mistakes I was telling you all about, is where I did actually redo it quite a few times. So these are my two summer t-shirt or top makes, final finished objects. This is actually my first entrance to our textured summer cow as well, that I'm hosting with my friends Marla and Lydia. And yeah, so I have been wearing this quite a bit. I really liked it on vacation. I think it's a good staple. I like the color on me. I'm actually really happy that I did finally manage to make something that I had on my to make list and in the yarn in my stash for I think like 2 years already. So happy with that. It's my favorite things knitwear pattern that was relatively clear to wasn't too difficult to do. In the beginning, I managed to cast on 2 left or right back sides, so I did still manage to make some silly mistakes on this one. Don't be fooled. I don't know. Like I said, I'm still not sure what happened. I feel it's important to talk about these fails or like mistakes or false starts still. But yeah, I managed in the end. She doesn't have one of these charts and drawings. She has, like I mentioned before, quite a limited size range, and then she doesn't really, I mean, she helps you choose a size with like the intended positive/negative ease. I'm not even sure about, I think mine definitely has positive ease, not a lot, but a bit. But yeah, she doesn't have again, that word is escaping me, a chart, and I also have about 1.5 bowls left over. I had 4 bowls to begin with, and I only used about, I think, 120 grams. Let me actually check. Yeah, I used 2.56 skeins, so 128 grams for this top. Mind you, I did crop it. I have to also measure it again to see by how much I cropped it. Like I said, I know I'm not being the best podcaster, but I feel like body length is such a personal, I don't know, thing that it wouldn't really help to know how long exactly I did it, because like you don't know where my belly button sits. Like I said, I do think I have a relatively short torso, and just knit it as long as you like it and try it on and along the way. And mind you, it'll grow a bit because of the cotton that's in there, the Pima cotton and superwash merino wool. So all in all, it's a yarn that's going to grow, and it did. So I think I could have sized down one size if I wanted a snugger fit, but I'm happy with the fit and I'm happy with the length, and I've got some left. So not exactly I'm not exactly sure what I'm making with these, though they are quite good kind of like amounts for small scarf knitting. They could also go into my leftover like scrappy blankets, but I think I'd go with putting stuff like this into the scrappy blanket, whereas these still have a place in my single skein stash, my like baby gift knitting stash. And I think that's how I'm going to divide them. And if I need more of one of those, if I'm making a small scarf project, for example, I can always go back and find some more here. Otherwise, these amounts would also be perfect to take to one of our yarn swaps in my local knitting group. Okay, let's get on to the third finished object. Like I said, I did have quite a bit of time to spend these last couple of weeks while I was on vacation, and though we did hike and go to the beach and all, I did have quite a bit of time for knitting. We're watching a lot of the European Championship games in the evening, and yeah, I just knitted through all of that. So this is another, this is my vacation project. I did start and finish this during my break from work. This is the Florence bag by Petite Knit. I actually just discovered that I need to go back in and stitch a bit more over this part where it's just getting a bit loose. This was quite tricky. Let me start with saying something about the yarn. Actually, I've got quite a bit left of this as well. This is the Ra Ra Raffia by Weir Knitters. This was gifted to me by my friend Rebecca. I actually have a whole nother skein of this, so I could make like a really big bag, or I was actually thinking about a hat would be nice, but I need a break from this yarn before ever doing anything with it again. I'll need to put it to the side because this was quite painful to do. Obviously, I could have paused a few more times during the knitting process. It's 100% paper yarn, I think. Let me actually check the label. I've got it in my cupboard here. So yeah, it's a paper yarn made in Taiwan, actually. And it was, she gifted it to me with a paper bag instructions too, but I didn't go with that one. I went with the Petite Knit one. I don't know, when I had seen the Florence bag for the first time, I just thought it was super cute, and it's a size that I also think is really I don't know, kind of practical for me. I put in my phone, maybe my headphones, maybe my sunglasses, and then I just put it around it, and I have like my most important, like my important stuff I got with me, and then I can just take a bigger bag for my knitting projects and a book and my water bottle and everything. But yeah, I got this strap when I went to the Swiss Yarn Festival with Rebecca's, where we decided that we both wanted to do it. This was my summer vacation project. I got the zipper from Petite Knit's online shop, and then I sewed the inside on my own, which was quite a project. This is the linen viscose blend, I think. It's a very old yarn. I'm not exactly sure where it came from. We used to just put it on the floor around our Christmas tree. And yeah, I think it's really nice. It still has my sunglass case. It looks nice. I didn't want something that would shine through too much. Now I unfortunately have realized that I did sew it on a bit too high. So when I'm trying to close this, it sometimes just tucks a bit, and that's when there is a chance of it coming undone again. So I'll have to put that to the side and kind of already fix it, which is a bit sad, but it is very cute. I wouldn't jump to knit it again. It was very little knitting and it wasn't too bad to do, though it strained my hands a bit, and I'm happy it's done. And yeah, the sewing wasn't too bad. Like the making a cylinder, it's in the pattern on like Petite Knit's pattern, though it's not very detailed. Like her pattern obviously is a knitting pattern, not a sewing pattern. But then yeah, it wasn't a problem for me to sew it in I did it all by hand. It's more of like how close do I get, like all of that stuff. Putting in like to the zipper. And then yeah, it's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be. The putting in the zipper, she does have a video tutorial by her colleague, I would say, Kimmy, is it Macomb? Yeah, the woman who does all of Petite Knits tutorials on YouTube in Danish. So you'll have to put on the subtitles or just kind of watch and see what she's doing. She did it quite cleverly where she put in, she fixed it onto 4 points and then she sewed it in, which I had already started, and then I was watching her do it and I winged it. I don't know why I cannot just make life easier for me sometimes, but I didn't, and I had to redo it once. But in the end, I have a finished object, which took very little yarn, but then overall, and the yarn was gifted, and the fabric was, I wouldn't say thrifted, but it was old, and I still had it in stash. But then the original zipper and the leather strap did make this cost as much as a pre-made bag would possibly be. But what fun would that be? Just buying a bag. If I can, I don't know, make it in 2 weeks myself. But yeah, I think it's super cute. I have been wearing it this weekend, like I said, while I was visiting family. And yeah, a good project to do on vacation if you can take lots of breaks to not strain your hands, and also finish it within a few days or like a week if you're taking a few more breaks. I didn't take enough breaks. I need to learn to not make or craft through my pain so much, but it's really difficult for me if I have the time, like if there is time to craft and I'm not doing it and I'm not doing anything else. If I'm doing anything else, it's not that big of a deal. Like if I'm doing any sport or playing a game with family or, I don't know, baking, I'm not like constantly thinking about I'd rather knit. But if I'm not doing any of these things, I'm constantly thinking I want to knit. So yeah, I've had a bit of trouble with that in the past where I did strain my muscles and like just my arms a tiny bit. But yeah, I'm trying to be better about that, and this is my finished Florence bag by Petite Knit. I hope I'm not being too repetitive. I know this is taking quite a long time because I have so much to show you, but I hope you're enjoying, and I hope you're also making something right now. Let me show you my first whip. This is actually one finished sock, and then my other one is in here. Obviously they're matching. I love quilt stars, as you may know, and this is the Quilty Cabin Sock by Horse Feather Fiber Arts, and this is in the Craft Me Not Fiber or Yarn Co. This BFL sock in the colorway Turtle Pecan Pie, and this was a trial. So a few months back I got 2 skeins of her yarn while they were on sale. So this was kind of a trial for her Pie Day color, I would say, and something went wrong. I don't know what went wrong because to me it is perfect. And yeah, I wanted to make some socks with it, and I thought somehow the quilt stars would go perfect on this base. So the main color, as I said, is the Turtle Pecan Pie, and then the star color is cotton on a regular, like I think it's called Classic Sock Base by Olivia and Oliver Fibers, and I also made a whole sock with them before. What's that called again? Kind of like a lace sock. That's what I was trying to say. So yeah, I've got one completely finished. I think this much, and it on the way back home, I think I knitted about 5 hours. The other hours I was driving by myself, so I wasn't knitting obviously. But yeah, I think I did this much at home, and then I went on to do this much just like while out in restaurants. Did this one day, I think at the beach, and then most of the foot while on the way back from our holiday. I did have a few problems with my tension in the colorwork, as this is my first colorwork sock actually. But I'm quite happy with it now. It is a bit tight, and I decided, because it was even tighter before, I decided to kind of weave in the yarn I was not using in a very similar matter as I am doing on my scrappy blanket, while I'm trying to weave in the ends from the row above, or beyond, underneath. Sorry, words. So I hope this makes sense. I'm not sure if there's like any name for that technique. But yeah, I'm just trying to, every 3 to 4 stitches, I'm trying to wrap the yarn I'm not using, or grab it while I'm knitting the other yarn in a stitch without you being able to tell from the front. I hope that makes some kind of sense. This is a little close up. And yeah, I knitted the size, I think it's 5 for my foot circumference, and that meant that I should be casting on 72 stitches, which I've not done before for myself. I only did it for my partner once, but I used a 2.25 needle for the beginning. Then I went up to I think it was either a 2.5 or a 2.75, and I went down to a 2.25 again and knitted the whole leg, which you can tell is a bit big, and it's also a bit big on my leg, but I thought a slouchy pair of socks would be fine. And then after the heel flap and gusset, so here when I was decreasing again, I just decreased down to 64 stitches, which is my preferred stitch count on a 2.25 needle. Otherwise I would be knitting on a 2.5 needle with 60 stitches. So they're fitting well, especially here, because they are my preferred fit here. They're a bit big here, but also I wouldn't know how to kind of counteract that with still being able to put my foot in, because it is a bit tight. It's okay, I can get my foot in, but I wouldn't want it to be any tighter. And I also didn't want it to look kind of like this, where it then was like very big on the top and then going very like cinching in quite a bit. I might try that on another colorwork sock, though I'm not like seeing myself knitting a ton of colorwork socks. I made a huge exception for these because look at them. They're perfect to me. They were in a wonderful video that I watched of Ashley by Designed by So-and-so, I think it's her YouTube and Instagram name. And she's also a huge quilt motif lover, and she mentioned these, and when I saw them amongst other beautiful patterns, I didn't know of this one. I really wanted to give it a try, so I did. And yeah, the other one I haven't started yet, but I can show you the yarn quickly. Like I said, this is the Craft Me Not Yarn Co. in the turtle pecan pie. I'm not exactly sure what that's meant to be, but yeah, don't have to know. This is a cotton. So yeah, these two worked out beautifully together. And I'll try and cast on this sock to get past the color work relatively soon. So it'll be a kind of portable project thereafter, because I have to concentrate here, but then I only did one. Oh yeah, I only did one motif. I think for the longer size, you're supposed to do 2, or the pattern suggests you to do 2, but I did just choose to knit 1, and I think it's perfect. So yeah, first work in progress. My next work in progress is also a hint at my spinning already. It's in one of my beautiful project bags. Again, this was gifted to me by my boss at the yarn shop, Melanie. And I have put this on try on tubing just to be able to kind of make you see the whole length of it, because it was scrunch up on the needles quite a bit, and still the cord isn't, yeah, it's holding it back quite a bit. But this is getting quite big. It's not very deep yet, but I've made some quite good progress on this. This is the traveler shawl, and I'm knitting this with my hand spun yarn. I am using 2 braids of Frau Wölfchen's hand dyed tops. There was one merino, no, there was one Cordell and then one BFL top that I did a combination spin with. So I divided it in half and quarters and eighths, and then did a few small nests that I then spun one after the other, like Cordell, BFL, Cordell, BFL. I love the BFL colors a lot more, but then I like the feeling of spinning the Cordell a bit more. So colors of the BFL, spinning experience of the Cordell, just slightly. And then I have plied it with a single of Manx Lockton, which is one of the breeds that actually create a natural murred color. And then you can see that that kind of, I wouldn't say murks or like subdues it all together, but I think it actually does exactly that. Like it is helping to bring it all together and like create this kind of beigey feel of it. I actually have a few more skeins just finished up. I wasn't sure if I was talking about spinning now already because I have some more knitting to talk about, but I think this is a good time to talk about it. I did finish a few more skeins of this, though they have turned out a lot thinner. So this is going to be my experimental shawl. Yeah, knitting with this is going to turn this shawl into a lot more area, like much more open gauge. There's just nothing I can do about it. And honestly, I don't really mind. I think with washing and blocking, it'll kind of help it not look stupid. I don't think it's gonna look stupid, but yeah, this is a lot thicker and it's also a lot more thick and thin. I'm gonna try and show you some of my leftover. There's not much left at all, so I had to spin up some more because I only got this little nugget left. But yeah, you can tell. I hope you are able to see. Yeah, this is quite a bit different, but this is actually not the only thing that went wrong. These are skeins that turn out quite nicely. I do have some that did not turn out the way I had hoped they would. This is actually quite sad because there are 3 that didn't turn out and then 2 that turned out. I'm going to show you and then tell you about what happened. So as you can see, these ones are a lot smoother and the ply actually looks relatively balanced. What happened with these actually is that I did not spin both of my singles in the same direction. So I decided to, if I'm gathering my information correctly, that usually a lot of people are spinning their singles S-wise and then, or no, I can't actually, I'm filming on my phone. I wanted to see, because I wrote my Tour de Fleece pals about it and I think I got it right on that one. So I'm not exactly sure, but I think lots of people spin S-wise and then ply Z-wise, and you have to spin all of your singles in the same direction and then ply them in the opposite. I think at least that's how it is. With this one, the Morit colorway, I spun it the wrong direction, and then while plying, it happened that I got some sort of boucle-esque yarn that I didn't want to achieve. So yeah, with these 2, it worked out a lot better, as you can see. And I'm going to knit them into the shawl. Now there's a few scenarios. First of all, I think what I did with spinning them one direction and then plying them the other is not the popular choice to begin with. So I did it the other way around than most spinners I think would do it, is what I gathered from some Google searches, which isn't a huge deal. If I'm just staying coherent throughout the whole project, I think it's not too bad. But since I'm a right-handed knitter, I've come to realize that the yarn, like the plies, split a lot more. I possibly also did underply my yarn a bit, whereas now I think I kind of overplied this a tiny bit. I wouldn't say like after washing it's turned out to be relatively soft and smooth. The the singles in and of themselves were quite thin already and a bit ropey maybe, so I did overspin and overply a tiny bit. But then also I think I just didn't want to underply again, because I did that on some of this yarn, as you can see here. I think that's a good example. I didn't spin the moored thin enough. And then, yeah, it did plump up a ton during washing. Whereas this, as you can see, is a different yarn. But I don't mind. It's okay. It's a huge learning curve for me. This spinning project, and then like using it for a big project that I also kind of love. Like I want to wear this, whereas with my other projects that I did so far, my spinning projects, it wasn't a huge deal if I didn't love them in the end. Like, but now I'm getting into like, I want to use my spun up yarn like to make projects that I love, which is a lot to, again, ask of myself. But I mean, I'm putting in so much work with my spinning that I think it's fair to wish for something knittable and then wearable in the end. So I hope this will turn out okay. And then something that I thought I might do, if it doesn't go all the way, so I hope that these two will help me get the first big triangle finished. That is actually the first part of the pattern that Andrea Mari does. It's an Andrea Mari pattern. I hope I said that. I'm doing it for the DRK Spin It to Knit It Knit Along for this year, or until like spring of next year. What was I trying to say? Oh yeah, it's 2 triangles, like kind of constructed in a very nice way with her traveler kind of structure. And I hope that these will take me to the end of the first triangle, and then I'll have to see, like, am I going to swap in something else? I'm not keen on buying much more yarn for it, so, or fiber, sorry, much more fiber for it. So my friend Ahna, who I'm also on a Tour de Fleece team with, she told me that she actually also did this once, which I was like, phew, I'm not the only one doing stuff like this, apparently. And she told me that she actually untwisted, like unplied it, and then spun it the right way and then replied it. And I did do this on one of these where I had a full bobbin of the Murid, like the Manx Lockton, spun in the wrong direction, and I respun it from the bobbin like onto another bobbin, and that worked out so well. I mean, I did make it thinner and thinner throughout the whole process, because I kind of had a feeling for it to like avoid these like bigger chunks of fiber running into my spinning. Now it's getting very technical, but I re-spun a whole bobbin, or like half a bobbin, and then plied with it. And since I do have, so I have one of those left, this is resting because I just plied it today. I'm gonna also it's not caking up, make a skein, and then they will all get caked up after washing and setting, like thwacking and whatever you do. There's a whole, like, if you're not a spinner, sorry for this rant and tangent and whatever, but yeah, that's what it looked like on the bobbin. And then I still have some of just the combo hand-dyed spin left. And yeah, so I could ply this up on its own, like with itself. That wouldn't make a whole lot of yarn, though I could start the second triangle or finish the first triangle with it. At this point in time, I'm not going for perfect, you know. But what I could also do is try, because this is 300 meters. I mean, before washing. After washing, I'm not sure how much I lost, but it is just a bit heartbreaking, isn't it? Because it looks cool, but I wouldn't want to knit with it. Like the boucle look, it's not bad, but it's not what I wanted it to look like. So I might try what my friend Ahna has suggested. So you'll see all of that. I'm going to, this is one of my total fleece goals, going to finish up that spin and then try and knit through the rest of my first triangle and see how far that gets me. It's a 2-ply, like I said, traditional 2-ply. And then, yeah, that is just my first really big spinning fiasco. But I've learned so much from it. I'm never gonna take it for granted, like how I twist it and like how I apply or spin my yarn again. Learned a lot on that. That was a very steep learning curve, or yeah, that fail really smoothly transitioned me into learning a huge spinning lesson. So, okay, getting back to the knitting, as I do have some stuff still to show you. This is just in one of my Bûche knitting bags, and I've actually wrote it up and it looks so cute. This is the Vice Versa shawl by my friend Bridget Zoo. Bridget is BZB Knits on Instagram and YouTube, I think is the same name. Yeah, she's a designer, and I have one of her designs on my to knit list, on my forever and never ending to knit list, but I've never actually made one of her designs. And now Bridget did ask me a couple, I would say like 2 months back or around that time, if I were interested in testing something for her. And this is the little something that I am testing for her. This is the Vice Versa shawl, which is a Design Fall Flock Fiber Festival this year, which I hoped would cure my broken heart of not being able to go there so far. Not sure if that is going to work out like that, but yeah, I'm knitting this with the rosy green wool Cheeky Merino in Terra. This is this beautiful ochre colorway, and then the other contrast kind of color, or like 2 color brioche, is a Earth Yarns Spiral Grain Light Worsted in Sycamore. So yeah, this is my first 2-color brioche project, and again, huge learning curve. I am so thankful for Bridget's how would you say that, patience with me, and her helping me through so many false starts and problems that I have had. None of these problems are with the pattern. There wasn't even the tiniest mistake in the pattern, though I felt like, and she actually gave me that feedback as well, it was really helpful for a total like brioche beginner to test one of her patterns, or that pattern specifically for her, because my questions then evoked some kind of, maybe I should put like kind of a note to like help other beginners with that into the pattern. So yeah, I worked through a lot of this during my vacation. I think I was about here, and I knitted all of this through my summer vacation, and it's very enjoyable if I'm not stuck somewhere. When I was stuck somewhere, I was getting relatively frustrated with myself, mostly, but this is not a difficult pattern. So if you know brioche knitting, you will be fine with this. This is very intuitive. If you do not know it, maybe this is also good because it's a good start. Like I said, Bridget helped me quite a bit, but she didn't always have to kind of like just one-on-one help me. She did also include tutorials which were helpful, and so I wouldn't say you can only knit this if you're friends with a designer. You can also watch the tutorials, as I then did, and read through the pattern again. That was one of my learning curves. I get very blind for small details in the pattern. For example, here now she's doing a different thing with the I-cord, where you are not always keeping the yarn in front while you're slipping, but then sometimes also switching it up and leaving it in the back. And I just completely read over that miniature but important information. So yeah, that was my latest thing. And as you can see, it then here which explains the name, vice versa shawl, it switches main colors, which I think is really clever. This is made up in yarn that we do sell at the shop, the rosy green wool and the earth yarn spiral grain. We both sell at the shop, and so this is going to live at the shop for a while. I did not pay for this yarn since it is going to be a shop sample for the next months. So yeah, I did have to rip back quite a few times, but that was just my own fault. No fault of the pattern. And yeah, I hope to show you more when I get it finished. Like I said, I just had to get into a rhythm with it. In the beginning, I was very closely stuck to the pattern at all times, and then throughout getting into a rhythm and also learning when the decreases were located, on which row, I didn't even have to look at the pattern repeat anymore after, I would say, like 15 centimeters of knitting it, which may all sound super like duh to anyone else who has done two color brioche before, but for me it was actually quite a big deal to get comfortable with this pattern. That actually took quite a lot of patience and just determination, not determines, on my part, just like really wanting to bake it, to be able to fulfill my test and make that sample. Like I said, it is a collaboration between La Mercerie on Bainbridge Island, who is hosting Flock Fiber Festival in Seattle, and then We Checkered yarn. This was actually designed meant to be used with hand spun. As I'm still very much a beginner spinner and had committed to spinning my my traveler shawl for the Entramari knit-along, spin-along, I didn't feel like I had the brain capacity to do two spinning projects at the same time, and I also felt like I wasn't a very fast spinner at the time. Now that it's day 3 of the tour, I feel like I know how to be more fast, and that just means not knitting and very much focusing on my spinning, which is okay. Like sometimes I'll be able to and I'll be wanting to do that, but then sometimes not so much. So it just all fell into place when I realized that I could do a sample for the shop, and then people could see the beautiful yarn knit up, but then also see Bridget's beautiful pattern, and hopefully kind of buy it together, which we've realized, like, oh, it is something that we often see, is that if the pattern's speaking to people, like the sample in and of itself, people like to be inspired by that, and then that kind of influences yarn purchases. But then also a lot of the times people also buy the pattern, which I think is super nice to then also support my friend with her pattern, even if I cannot go to Flock this year. But yeah, okay. Last knitting object. I know my hair is probably, I'm gonna look back on this video and I'm gonna be like, why didn't you take the time to kind of properly style it? It's just a mess. It's just a bag of straw, hay, whatever. But yeah, I wanted to film. I really wanted to get my filming back on schedule. I can't wait to be more regular with my knitting, like with my podcasting again, because it just gets so much that then it's a huge thing to like talk about all of these things and not forget anything. So if or when I forget anything that you really would like to know about, please let me know in the comment section down below, because yeah, I feel like I might not be remembering to say everything that I wanted to say. Next up project is a spur of the moment. I really just want to knit this cast on, and it's my second stripe pipe sweater. This is a kind of coast to coast coffee house collection sweater. That's what it's going to be in my mind. Actually it's this way around. That I bought some Peer Gynt to go with. So the Peer Gynt is, I'm going to include I've got it included in my Ravelry project. The color number for this is kind of like a trench coat beige, and then this is what in the 8 house is coffee, and then this is knots, which was one of the colors that really kind of, I don't know, made me fall in love with this collection. Let me put it that way so you can actually see. And then the next color is going to be light rose, and I've already made a beanie with this color, if you may remember. But yeah, I got some more skeins of this in the second round update. These are all on the natural DK. So this is a natural non-super wash merino, but then the Peer Gynt is a Norwegian wool, which I felt would go good, like well together, to create more of a rustic experience. My first version I made with double Sunday, which I don't love because it does pill quite a bit, and the Peer Gynt has not pilled for me at all. I've actually tried and steam block this a tiny bit so you can actually see a bit of the colors. But yeah, this is what the colors are going to be for this project. I got the Kappa colorway as well, but this isn't, it just doesn't have enough contrast to the Peer Gynt, I think. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the sleeves yet. So if you do have an idea, I don't think I'm gonna do the highlights on the collar or the ends of the sleeves too, though I love that feature on my first stripe hype and the original one as well. I don't think it's gonna work for this one. So my options are either doing the same amount, like the same stripe kind of repeat on the sleeves as well, or I might wait for the sleeves and see what other collection Coast to Coast comes out with next, which I can't wait to see. I already know what it's going to be about because I talked to Erin about it, and I'm super excited to share more about it. If you didn't know, I'm an affiliate with Coast to Coast Yarn Co, which I'm so excited about. So yeah, can't wait to share about the next collection more. But then yeah, maybe I'm just gonna go like take it really easy, and I know that I'll have some left because I know from my last version of this how much I needed, how much I used. So there's a few things I want to do differently. I want to knit it a bit longer. I want to do the bottom twisted ribbing for longer, even though it's going to hurt my hands. I'm just going to take more breaks. And then I think that's it. Yeah, that's what I want to change. And yeah, possibly just do the similar or the same stripes in the arms. Also, another thing about my needle stoppers, these are from Marla Knit. Let me try and, why am I not able to show you these? They are so cute. I love them. I also have them in a dark red color, and they're from Marla Knit, who I'm also an affiliate with since recently. I have been able to try out her products, and I really do love them. And so yeah, if you want to shop them, you can use my link in the description box. And actually I do also have, I think it's a 10% discount code link there. So if you want to use that, use my code and use my link. Thank you so much. So yeah, again, I'm making a size 4 just as my first version, though the yarn's a bit thicker, and I will be thinking about that. What happened last time around is that I had the perfect gauge on the parts that were knitted in the row, and when I went to knitting in the round on just regular stockinette and then changing of the yarns for the stripes, my gauge got denser, which means that I'll probably, because now I'm knitting on a size 4 needle, I'll probably go up to a 4.5 needle actually for in the round knitting, so it doesn't at all cinch up or change the size, because I could see this being even cuter if it were a bit more oversized. But yeah, all of that to say, these are all my knitting projects. I know it's a lot. Even for me, talking for such a long time is quite a bit. It's quite a lot. And so let me move on to my one and only sewing project. This is the side tie top by Steph. It is made in a My Little Fabric Shop checkered gingham cotton. It is reversible, so this is the front side. You can see the bust darts here, and then on the other side it's bigger gingham kind of. I was a bit lazy on this one, which I now very much regret. I learned the burrito technique, which was cool and a bit frightening at first. Next time around it's not going to be as frightening anymore because I had already done it before, but yeah, this time around it was a bit frightening. And yeah, I regret not putting in the 2 sets of bows or ties that it called for. I actually opted to go in the halfway point of the original points where the ties were supposed to sit, and now it does gape a bit here. I think if I even were to go with just 1 tie, I couldn't have been bothered to make 4 more ties. But even if you're going to just make 1 tie, I think that's fine as long as you just put it on the top here, and then it's just very open in the like underneath, which I didn't mind. I was wearing this as like a beach cover up on our vacation, which worked out fine. When I was just like sitting there with a bikini, or I was actually trying to dry my bikini top, so I took it off. This was nice to kind of feel a bit covered on the Croatian beach on the Adriatic, is it Adriatic Sea? Yeah. So yeah, I really like this. I might do it. I might make it again. I actually very much enjoyed the process and the learning curve for this one. I might just opt to, yeah, like I said, not try and take shortcuts on that one. Another thing that I learned, and I always feel like it has such value to share these things, because if I am watching podcasts and someone talks about their mistakes that they have done, I always feel like I don't have to make that same mistake again, because now I know. Theoretically, I know. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't never make that mistake ever again, but at least you have some sort of learning through other people's mistakes, which I find very nice. But yeah, last thing actually is, and I'm going to take a sip of water talking about it, Tour de Fleece is happening. And I'm on Team Fleece Force. Love it. Ahna from Brook Willow designed this logo, and I made some stickers out of it and sent it to the whole team, or to anyone who wanted it. Ahna actually asked me to be part of this team, as did Kaci. I feel like I mentioned them in every single video of mine recently, but yeah, we've been chatting quite a bit, which I love. And they had been on that team, I think, with Brittany from Woolbury Fiber Co. I think the 3 of them kind of came up with the idea of this team last year, and now we have grown quite a bit. The team has grown quite a bit, and I'm very, very happy to be part of it. Additionally to being part of Tour de Fleece and having spun now for like, I think 3/4 of a year. I learned at Flock Fiber Festival last year, actually from Bridget, at least on the hand spindle, and then getting more into it in the autumn time with trying out a wheel, and then eventually buying it secondhand. I'm just very in love with spinning in and of itself, but then also an additional cool factor is that through my partner and his brother, actually, I have gotten into Tour de France quite a bit, and like professional cycling, like cyclist sports. And so yeah, we have also been watching the tour the last couple of years and rooting for a couple of riders, and I've been getting more and more into it and watching so many Tour de France documentaries these last couple of years. So yeah, that is so fun. I actually think that I'd be finishing off filming exactly like when the last couple of kilometers were on the clock, and it's getting really very exciting. So yeah, I can't wait to watch the final couple of 100 meters and then the sprint for that 3rd stage. So yeah, that's very niche. I'm sure not everyone will be interested in that, and not everyone has to, but yeah, I'm very excited about that. And I wanted to share about my goals. I've already talked about finishing up my my traveler spin. That is my first and foremost goal, and I'll try to also do them one after the other. My next goal is to get into long draw spinning, especially because I've heard so many of my spinning and knitting friends really rave about woolen prep and woolen spinning of fiber. I really would like to try a supported long draw, and that's why and where this little bat comes in handy. I have just opened it up, but this is how it kind of arrived. This is a European merino, just a regular, I don't think it is dyed or anything. This is a natural merino bat, and I will try long draw with this first. This was really inexpensive. I got it at Westerwälder Wollfest last year, before hopefully moving into my artifacts of appreciation bats that Lindsay gave me a couple of months back. And yeah, I still want to I want to practice a bit before kind of feeling like I'm ready for them, because yeah, they're very special to me. And then the last thing is that I would like to sample for my first sweater spin, which brings me to the last thing that I wanted to talk to you all about today, is that YarnJam. If you're a spinner, you might know about them. She's a hand dyer of yarn and fiber from the US, and she is coming out with a collection inspired and by kind of about her favorite YouTubers. And a couple of months back, she asked me if I wanted to be part of that collection. And I don't think I've ever been so flattered and excited about anything ever before. That was really, really cool. The group of women that are also being featured in this are some of my favorite podcasters as well. So this is really cool to be part of that group. I literally watch every single podcast that that group of podcasters do, but I'm not going to share it because not all of them have shared themselves about this, being part of this. So I'll keep the names to myself for now. But yeah, the launch is planned for early September. It'll be some in stock, and then it'll go to pre-order whenever that's finished, and I'll be able to share a discount for my fiber with you. And I hope to show my colorway next time I record, because it's now in the mail to me. And yeah, it's on a beautiful merino rambouillet base, and let me know what colors you think will be in that braid, because yeah, I think all of you kind of know me and my color preferences at least. So what do you think? What will be in that braid? Let me know in the comment section down below. And that's how I finish off. We got 3.5 kilometers to go. I hope you realize that I was paying close attention to filming, but then also I'm very excited for it to finish. So yeah, I'm gonna watch the last couple of kilometers of the stage today, and I hope you're all enjoying the tour. If you're watching, I hope you're enjoying your making, spinning, knitting, crocheting, sewing, whatever you're enjoying most doing. And then I hope to see you back next week or in 2 weeks with another episode. I loved getting back to filming, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video as well. If you did, please don't forget to give it a like, and if you haven't already, you can also subscribe. It's free. And then yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye.